Couple days late on this news, but over the weekend, Arthur Kaluma committed to Texas. A lot of people, maybe not that many people, but someone certainly on earth was still very concerned with where Arthur Kaluma was going to commit to. I think people forgot he was still like in the portal because every other player with a pulse chose to like pick their new school before practices start. And Arthur Kaluma was just like, nah, I'll take my time. And then, like 3 weeks after practices start, he decided to take his talents to Rodney Terry in Texas. Arthur Kaluma, a guy we have made plenty of jokes about throughout his 3 years in college. We still don't know if he is the best bad player in college basketball or the worst good player in college basketball. But I love this fit because it's going to force you to figure it out because you always pretend you love Texas basketball. How do you feel about this ad?
I'm not the biggest fan of this ad, and it's maybe not for the reasons that we have spoken about with Arthur Kaluma in general. I just think that to me, Texas was at the point of, I guess, the season, the offseason transfer portal, how they've acted with freshmen coming in and everything like that, where they kind of could have just stayed put. Like I don't see, and maybe you can shed some light on this, but I don't see what adding Kaluma to this current roster does right now that is such a needle mover positively. I just feel like the negatives that could come from this outweigh the positives. And this might be a case of, I'm a Michigan State fan. I'm always like, why have money if you're not going to spend it? Maybe this was a moment where Texas should have just held on to that money. Maybe just don't spend it on Arthur Kaluma. Just because I don't know how he kind of fits into the fold with this team, given the other additions that they made.
Why not?
Well, I mean, for starters, we don't even know what position Kaluma either plays or wants to play.
So we have no idea what Arthur Kaluma is, and we're going into year 4 of Arthur Kaluma.
Is he like, are you gonna play him at 3? Like, I don't want to play him at 3. I got Tremont Mark. Like, do I want to play him at the 4? I mean, I don't know. Not
Doesn't he
really.
provide versatility? Because you could go Jordan Pope, Tremont Mark, Arthur Kaluma, and go big 1, 2, 3. You could play another guard with them, slide Kaluma to 4, and go small. Like I, I'm not just playing devil's advocate, I swear, because I do still find it hilarious that you pretend you're a Texas fan, and now the team you pretend you're a fan of
Hey,
has
I
a
don't, I
player.
do not, I don't, okay, I don't pretend I am a Texas
Well,
fan.
just every single Texas player that they've had for 3 seasons, you like pretend to defend as if they're really good for no reason. And like now watching you squirm and have to do that with Kaluma is going to be hilarious. With that said, I like genuinely, I think this makes way more sense than you're giving it credit for. Like, I don't think Texas's roster was national championship caliber, and I don't think Kaluma joining it makes them that. But if I were trying to pick out the best spot for Kaluma, it would look a lot more like Creighton his first 2 years than it would Kansas State last year, where like Kansas State was a bad basketball team because they needed Arthur Kaluma to be the best player on most nights. That's not going to work. We learned that. Creighton was a good basketball team, a really good basketball team, because once every 4 games, when Kaluma popped off for 25 points, that's awesome. And then when he didn't, they had Nembhard and Trey Alexander and caught like they didn't need the consistency that Kaluma has really never been able to replicate. But that kind of feels like this to me, right? Like you're going to get one night every 2 weeks where Tremont Mark's stellar. And then you're going to get one night every 2 weeks where Kaluma's the best player. Hopefully, Jordan Pope is more of the constant. But I think the pressure is going to be less on Kaluma. And I guess the only major question I would have with this is just like, he is joining after practice has started in the summer. Tremont Mark was in a weird locker room last year. Is this locker room going to be okay?
Anytime you add Arthur Kaluma to anything, you shouldn't feel comfortable just about where you're at. But as we talk through this, there is one thing that could come out of this. If it doesn't work out, I think Rodney Terry has the chance to just minimize Kaluma's role. But
Yeah.
I also don't know if I trust Rodney Terry to have that in his bag.
Why not?
because as much as I love my Longhorns, Rodney Terry might be against me.
You think so?
I think so. But also, like I was a big fan of the Julian the not the Julian Larry, my apologies, the other Indiana State transfer. I was a big fan of the Jason Kent ad. Um, Jason Kent's a guy who's like 6'8". He has the ability to stretch the floor, very efficient from the field. But I think maybe I do the same thing that you always tell me to do. Like, what would Arthur Kaluma look like, or what would his stats look like at Indiana State?
Yeah.
They would be better than Jason Kent. So, you know, I guess there's that.
I mean,
I don't want.
we're looking at a starting lineup on paper here, I think, of Jordan Pope, Tremont Mark, Trey Johnson, Arthur Kaluma, and Caden Shedrick. That doesn't sound good on paper.
Does it sound good enough that I can get one of these out of you?
It's my favorite Texas roster in the last 3 years. I like this more than like Ace Miss Disu.
What about that team with Timmy Allen like two years ago?
I like this more than Timmy Allen.
Okay.
I like fourth option Arthur Kaluma a lot, Cart. I do. That was an Elite Eight team. Creighton was really good the last time Arthur Kaluma was fourth option.
It's been a long off season when we're getting you talking me into Arthur Kaluma. And we've reached that point of the off season.
It's not good. Do you think this is the final transfer commit video we'll make?
You said the final transfer commitment that
Video that we have to make like this, as far as I know, Kaluma was like the last guy. Like, is there going to be a random one that pops out of nowhere we have to make in a month?
I mean, I feel like someone's gonna. Oh, I don't know. Chris Beard's gonna run it back with Arterio Morris at Ole Miss or something like that in like 3 months. We're gonna have to make a video about it.